Man, I hope this sound is working properly. Holy cow. It has been a struggle getting started this evening, let me tell you. Man. Just unreal. Man, I hope this. Okay, so welcome to the channel. Those of you who have not subscribed, when you're jumping in, please make sure to do so. I promise you won't regret it. We have the schedule release in hand. It's interesting. I haven't really looked at it very much because I wanted to wait until I actually got on here, but unfortunately, when I got on here at 4:15, exactly on the button, I turned my computer on and I had an update. So went to do that, and then once I updated, I had to reset all my settings on my audio system. So unreal amount of stupidity that I had to panic and do all at once just to get started here. But I'm here. Everything's good now. I think the sound is working. Should be okay. Let me see what I can do here about this little image. I glanced at the schedule, and a couple of things that I thought weren't exactly right. The one thing that everybody did know was the Spain game, obviously. At first glance, I wasn't too upset about it, but we'll look into it here, and we'll go through it, and we'll see what everybody else thinks about this. Okay, there it is. Let me see if I can get this organized a little bit better. Apologies. Like I said, this whole thing where I had to start this fresh, it just kind of messed everything up and all my timing, and it's frustrating. I was pretty upset about it, to be honest. All right. So we have the schedule release. Before I get into this too much, I just wanted to say that this live stream, I'm going to try to do this next week, to do some live streaming and maybe a video. But the problem with doing that is that I have to go to Texas. That's right, all the way from Alaska. I have to fly to Texas on Friday night, and I'm going to be in Texas until the following Saturday. So one whole week in 90 to 95 degree weather. Frozen Fins fan is going to melt like a block of ice in the summer. I don't handle heat well. So me going down there it's going to be rough for little old Dirk. I'm going to go down there and help my mother out. My mom and my dad are getting ready to move, and they have my mother's having a surgery, so she's not going to be able to do much to finish packing up the house and the garage and everything for their move. So I'm going to go down there and bust it out real quick, and then I'll be back in Alaska safe and sound in a week. But while I'm down there, I'll take my computer and see if I can do a live stream or two while I'm down there, especially if news breaks. I'll be on it. It's just going to be from a different location. Won't have all my pretty stuff on the wall. Bummer. So this one will be my last one this week. What's up, Elwood? How you doing, buddy? 17-0 world champions. Oh man, wouldn't that be nice? I tell you what, it's gonna be interesting. Like I said, we're gonna look at it here in a second, and we'll go from there. But there's not much. Okay, when I looked at the opponents, I wasn't too excited. But first glance at the schedule, I'm a little encouraged. I don't want to be all hopium-ish, but I got some hopium going. Let's take a look at it, and we'll go from there. Okay. Okay, here we go. 17-0, huh? Elwood says 17-0. All right, so week one at the Colts. This is a bummer to me only because it's not so much the away game fact, but that's a stadium team. I was really, really, really hoping that these stadium games that we're playing away would be down at the bottom of the schedule near weeks 16, 17, 18. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. Our Colts game in the stadium in Indianapolis is going to be the very first one off the bat. It's a bummer. Not excited about that part, but I digress. That's the first game at the Colts. The Colts aren't looking amazing this year so far. I can't say, what they're going to actually be like until I see some preseason stuff and maybe a week or two into the season. But they didn't finish out the season very well. And they're lacking in a lot of positions. You think the Dolphins are bad. You need to look at that Colts roster. They've got it even worse than we do. And right now we're really only lacking in the cornerback position. I mean, a lot of people don't like the safety room for Miami, but I'm slightly encouraged by the safety room. Could it be better? Yes, it could be. But I'm really bummed about our cornerback situation. Hopefully we work something out there. It is what it is. Week 1 at the Colts. And then weeks 2, 3, and 4. This is where stuff. There's a lot of things to talk about here. This is where stuff gets interesting. 2, 3, and 4 are all AFC East games. They're all rivalry games. This is where we get a chance. I'm hoping in those first 3 games. That's 2 home games. I'm hoping we get to wear our rivalry jerseys in one of those games. That would be sick. I'd love to see it. And if we don't, I know we're going to see a classic jerseys in one of those games at least. So I'm excited for it. We got Thursday. Listen, now check this. I don't even know where to go with all of this. There's just so much to talk about here. So I'm just going to kind of bounce here. Week 3, week 4, week 9, week 11, week 15, and week 16. That's 6 primetime games. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Ladies and gentlemen, the Miami Dolphins, they don't do very well in primetime games, and here we are with 6. That's more than last year. I was shocked. I thought for sure they were gonna snoop the Miami Dolphins right out of some of these primetime games, and turns out they did the exact opposite and gave them 6 primetime games. How does that even work? It's unreal to me. You look at it and you see the Patriots week 2. That's a home game for us. Once again, I was kind of hoping that would be nearer the end of the schedule. I was hoping that our game in Foxborough would be near the beginning. You could want that either way. It's 6 and 1, half a dozen in the other, really, because if we play the Patriots at New England in the beginning of the season, that means we're going to have them at our home at the end of the season, and we won't really have much of a home field advantage there because the Heat won't be there that late in the season. But I would have rather saw week 8, we're 6 and 2, huh? Is that what you're thinking, Elwood? 6 and 2 by week 8? I'll have to look at this in a second that way, and I'll go for it. So week 2, the Patriots at home. Week 3, we got the Bills on Thursday Night Football. That's in Buffalo. That's fantastic news. I love that we have the Buffalo game that's in Buffalo in the beginning of the year, which means we're not going to be playing them in Buffalo in the cold. I am very happy about that. It's not that I don't necessarily want to, but I'm a realist here, and I'm looking at this as for the best chance for Miami to sneak out a win against the Buffalo Bills. That is exactly where you need to have that game. Now, the bummer is Thursday Night Football because it's primetime, and the Dolphins drown in primetime. So that's what we're looking at there. Week 3 at the Bills on Thursday Night Football, and then we come right around, and we have now it's going to be a long break. Thursday Night Football, then so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's 10 days off between the Bills and the Jets game. You get a 10-day break. That's like a mini bye. And I'm not going to complain about that. I'm not going to complain about that. The Carolina weather is about the same, maybe a little cooler in Carolina, but Miami will be just fine playing them right around that time. Week 6, we play the Chargers, but the Chargers game is at home, which is great. So you look at those first 8 weeks of the season. You have 1, 2, 3 games at our home in those first 6 weeks. 3 games at home. Of those 3 games, only 2 are going to be at that time of day where we're going to be able to have some advantage. That's going to be the Patriots and the Chargers. The other game we have at home is versus the Jets, but it's Monday Night Football, so we're not going to have that super gnarly heat. It'll be warm, and the Jets might not be as good in it, but it's not going to be that home field advantage warm with the sun beating down on the opposing team's sidelines. So that is what it is. Only 3 this year. Last year, I think we had 2 in the super high heat, so I'm not going to complain. After that Chargers game at home, we have a little bit of a road stand. We have week 7, we're playing the Browns in Cleveland. Then we're playing the Falcons in Atlanta. The Atlanta game is that other dome team that I wanted to play near the end of the season just so we'd have a couple games at the end of the season where we're playing in a dome and not outside in some of those cold weather areas. But as we get down this list, you're going to see that we have some cold games this year. So week 8, it was at the Falcons. Then week 9, we have the Ravens on Thursday Night Football. That is going to be, okay, week 9 at the Ravens. That is a game that I'm going to be circling. This game is going to be one of those, it's right near the middle of the season. This game, I'm looking at this game as a must-win game. This is a statement game. Thursday Night Football versus the Ravens. We have them at our house. They need to win that game. 11-6. I hope we get back to that running the ball thing, man. If we get back to running the ball with a good, decent offensive line, not even good, just decent. If we get back to decent offensive line play, we're going to have a chance to do something special. That's all there is to it. So Ravens, week 9, Thursday Night Football. Then we play the Bills at home. So there's 2 games at home right there. Week 9 at the Ravens and week 10 versus the Bills. Those are 2 games that we really, really need to buckle down on. Those are 2 home games. Those are going to be big. Week 11, we go to Spain. We already knew that. We knew we were going to have the bye after the Spain game. The NFL gives the teams that go overseas to have their bye that following week. And I think something ridiculous like 99.8% of the time, the team takes their bye at that time. The NFL does give the teams the option to pass on their bye after they return from overseas. So no team ever does that, really. And I think this is a good place to have the bye. Well, a lot of people are like, I don't want the bye in week 12. Well, why? We should want that. That's when things start falling off the hinges for us. That's when people get hurt. That's when we really could use a bye. I didn't like the bye last year. I wanted it later, and I'm happy about this in week 12. This is what I want. Week 12, bye. This is perfect. Week 13, we're at home against the Saints. Week 14, we go travel to play the Jets. That's going to likely be a very cold game. Not like super like Green Bay type cold, but week 14 is where we start seeing the cold weather, okay? Week 14 at Jets. Week 15 at the Steelers on Monday Night Football. That is going to be a cold game. Week 16 versus the Bengals. This is at Miami. It's Sunday Night Football. That's going to be a great game to watch. I cannot wait for that, man. We haven't played the Bengals since Tua got hurt. Remember that? How could you forget? That's the last time we played the Bengals. So this is gonna be a good game. I'm looking for big things. Like I said, I'm trying not to get too excited on stuff this year. I'm trying to just do things as I see them. But the problem is I am a optimistic person. Okay, I keep optimism, especially when it comes to sports. I'm not the type of person that'll let this wreck my life if the Dolphins have a bad season. So, and I'm a fan. I love this team. So, of course, I'm going to get excited. Now that I see the schedule, I'm excited. Now I can start thinking about stuff. And it's been, a while since we've had some good information, something to look forward to. Now we've got it, ladies and gentlemen. Steelers, Monday Night Football, Week 15. Week 16, the Bengals on Sunday Night Football. Week 17 versus the Buccaneers at home. At our home. That's going to be another good game, but it's in Miami. This one here, Week 18 at the Patriots. That's going to be a cold game. That's going to be a chilly one. That's kind of not what I was wanting there for the last game of the season to be at the Patriots. The way the Patriots are. Yeah, I'm gonna touch on this right now about the Patriots. The way the Patriots are this year. By the way, throw some likes down if you're in here and listening. Throw a like down. Type a comment. Tell me what you guys think about this. But the way the Patriots are and the way they're looking, I'm looking for the Patriots to improve. Okay? I'm looking for the Patriots to improve. And if they do improve, this game could likely be for a playoff spot. Maybe not so much for us. Maybe we've already locked down the playoffs if things go right during the season. And if they don't go quite to plan, this could very well be for a playoff position. I'm not real high on what the Bills have done this offseason. A lot of people weren't last year, but I thought the Bills did okay last year. This year, I'm not so convinced. So, now that I'm looking at this, let me just do this how I always do it, with my handy dandy sticky notes so that I can keep track of my information because I'm old school. All right. First glance, this is my first impression of this season, okay? Week 1 at the Colts. I think that's going to be a win for Miami. I think Miami's going to go into Indianapolis. Yeah, I got to drink the Mountain Dew. Have to. I drink Mountain Dew. I'm guilty. So I'm going to go through this and mark them down, and we'll see where I'm thinking we're at with this schedule, okay? Week 1 at the Colts. I'm marking that a W. Week 2 versus the Patriots. I'm marking that a W. Like I said, this is just first impressions. I could be wrong, obviously, and you never know. But Week 3 at the Bills on Thursday Night Football. I'm going to mark that a loss for Miami. Week 4 versus the Jets on Monday Night Football. I'm going to mark that a win. Miami is going to want to wreck the Jets this year, especially after what happened last year at the end of the season. At the end of the season last year, the Jets embarrassed the Miami Dolphins, and I would expect Miami to come out wanting to punch them in the throat. So, Week 4 versus the Jets in Miami Gardens. Miami's going to pull that win off on Monday Night Football. Week 5 at the Panthers. I'm marking that a dub. Week 6 versus the Chargers. I'm marking that a dub as well. Week 7 at the Browns. I'm marking that a dub. These are just first impressions. Once again, don't nobody jump at me. Week 8 at the Falcons. I'm marking that a W. So at Week 8, I have this team going 7-1. Just off first impressions. Like Elwood, you said 6-2. That's totally respectable. I could even see a way that this would end up being a 4-4 by Week 8. But me personally, I see the only loss that we have in the first 8 weeks, as provided everybody's healthy. The only real loss that I can pretty much see happening for sure is that game against the Bills. Week 9, I can see that being a loss. And these are first impressions. Those of you that just joined, please don't beat me to death with it. So Week 9, I mark it as a loss. Week 10 versus the Bills. This is where I think we get our first W against the Buffalo Bills in a while. This is the year I think it's going to happen, and I think that we're going to get it in Week 10. Week 11 versus the Commanders. I can very well see us losing that game in Madrid. So for brevity's sake, I'm going to mark that Commanders game a loss for Miami. Week 12 is a bye. Week 13 versus the Saints, I'm marking that a win. At the Jets, I'm taking that as a win as well. Like I said, Miami is going to be pissed off teenagers when they play the Jets this year. And I want to see it so bad. Week 15 at the Steelers. That's a tough one. These next 3 games are real tough to look at, and I just don't know. For the Steelers game, I'll mark it a W. And for the Bengals game, I'm going to mark that a loss. And the Buccaneers game, I'll mark that a win. And then I'm going to mark the Patriots game at the end of the season a loss as well. So if I just picked every game correctly, which probably not. I mean, obviously, that's probably not going to happen. But if I did, I would have us with a 12-5 record. Initial reactions, just looking at the schedule and just doing a brief thought about it. Yeah, you're right. Elwood, we probably will. I'm just, like I said, first impressions, just looking at the schedule. I'm seeing 12-5, maybe 11-6, somewhere in there. I'm definitely not seeing an 8-9 schedule here. Looking at this schedule, I'm not seeing 8-9 like last year. I'm not seeing, 5 wins and 12 losses. I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing us do worse than last year. I'm thinking 11-6, 12-5. Maybe if everything falls apart, like it tends to do for Miami at the end of the year, I'll think maybe 10-7. So we'll say this is a 10-7 to a 12-5 season for Miami. Now, it could be better, it could be worse. Like I said, I don't have a crystal ball, but yeah, Elwood, you're right. The health thing is the big thing that we need to worry about. It's that's the important part. Are we going to be able to stay healthy? And I just don't know. Oy. And I'm trying to look at this and see. We have 2 back-to-back primetime games in this. 2 sets of back-to-back primetime games in this schedule. It's just unreal to me how many primetime games we have. That's 6 primetime games, guys. Man. Bills, week 3. Jets, week 4. Thursday night football to Monday night football. That is an 11-day break. It's a little mini bye. So we essentially get a couple buys during this season, which is kind of nice. What I also like is there's not a lot of long road games. I mean, if I'm looking at this, we have no more than a 2-week road stand at any point during this season. That's great. Like I said, looking at the schedule, the only thing I can really, really, really complain about, if I really tried hard, is that Patriots game. Everything else, I really can't complain. I almost wish we could switch the Patriots games. That would make this perfect. I absolutely love the fact that we're playing at the Bills in week 3. That's huge. No Miami Dolphins fan should want to play the Bills at the end of the season. So that's great news. Yeah, oh, you're right. The new O-line part is the part that really, really has me excited. The offensive line and the running backs, it excites me because if we have a little bit of a running game, teams won't be able to do what they did all season last year. If we have a little bit of blocking and a little bit of power on the offensive line, we won't have to do what we did last year with the constant quick passes and no running game. And then everybody complaining about, why does Mike McDaniel only call the stupid pass plays to the 5-yard line or further back or behind the line of scrimmage? And I don't understand why he has no creativity in his play calling. And I don't understand why Tua can't throw the ball longer than 10 yards. And I don't understand why we can't just run the ball. Oh my goodness, I am so tired of people who don't know football asking stupid questions. If you know anything, then you know the main reason for all of that is because of one thing last year: offensive line play. It's the only thing that affects all of that. We had a horrible offensive line last year. Horrible. And I love Teron Armstead to death, but even he struggled a lot last year. You could tell he was so beat up that he just wasn't doing as well as he normally does. I'm encouraged by our offensive line this year. Hopefully it works out like I'm thinking it will. And if it works out just a portion of what I think it's going to be, if it's just a portion of that, we're going to be a lot better. Tua won't have to throw shorts, flat passes, and screen passes. He won't have to. We'll have a running game. We'll have the ability to keep the linebackers on the other team from drifting 5, 7, 11 yards back because they know we're not going to run the ball, because they know we can't. I'm excited for it. This is a decent schedule. Like I said, the only thing I'm bummed about is that Patriots game at the end of the year. It could be a lot worse. Let's see. Monday Night Football and then playing Sunday Night Football. That's meh. That's whatever. That stretch, the Week 15, Week 16 stretch, the Steelers on Monday Night Football and the Bengals on Sunday Night Football, that could make or break our season right there. Looking at that, that could be it right there, guys. Yeah, and I think the defensive pass rush is going to help a lot this year. People are super worried about our cornerback situation and our safety situation, and I can guarantee you I know exactly what Anthony Weaver is thinking. He's going to be able to do some things that he hasn't been able to do with defense yet this year, with his defense yet on this team. He's got the defensive line that he's been wanting. He has the players he needs for it right now. He has the ability to have a constant rotation of high-quality players. And I think that's going to benefit our defense a lot. When you have a good pass rush, what do you not have to do? You don't have to cover receivers for eons. You don't. When you have a solid defensive line that can get penetration and pressure not only on the outside, but when you can collapse a pocket from the inside, when you have beasts on the inside pushing in, collapsing pockets from the inside, that's when you get good pressure on the quarterback, because then they're having to choose. The offensive line is going to have to choose, do I stop these guys inside or do I brush out and stop the edge rushers? That's what I think is going to end up happening this year. We're going to see solid defensive line play all the way from left to right. And if we have just a portion of that, our cornerbacks and our safeties will not have to cover these receivers on the other teams for very long. This could end up working out very well. I love the matchups. I like this schedule for the most part. Like I said, I had a couple issues, a couple small things. Preach, brother. Yeah, I'm trying, man. I'm trying without getting all emotional. Trying not to live in my feelings, but Man, I'm excited about this. I'm happy for people in Spain. I don't know how many. Like I've said it once or twice before on a couple of videos or live streams. Uh, I went to Spain, a long time ago. Well, not a long time ago, but a while back, and had a great time there. Obviously, Spain was amazing, but I've obviously never been to Miami Gardens. I've never been to a Dolphins game in person. But when I was in Spain, that's where I saw the most highly concentrated Miami Dolphins fans I've ever seen. When I was in Spain, there is a bunch of Miami Dolphins fans there. So I am excited for the fans in Spain that get to see the Dolphins play a football game. Good for them. I hope they really enjoy it. I hope the Dolphins beat the bricks off the Commanders just because of that. I hope they go there and smoke out the Commanders. That would be awesome. As far as NFC teams go, the Commanders are one of my favorite teams for sure. I do like their team, but when they're playing the Dolphins, it doesn't matter. I want them to get smoked. I want brick houses up and down the line. I just want to destroy them. It sucks that does count as a home game, but if you look at the schedule, I mean, usually you only get 8 home games. We had 9 on the schedule. So we didn't really lose a home game like some people say. That's just the way it works out. They gave us an extra home game and they used it for the Commanders game. Cool. Whatever. Who cares? Even without that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We still have 8 home games. And 8 away games. It's perfect. You don't want no adversity. You need a little bit. Hey, don't forget about Biggers. Biggers is going to end up doing some contributing on this team. He's not going to be a starter, but I think he can genuinely contribute rotationally. So I think you add Zeke to that defensive line. I think he's going to do good things. This is good. It's good. What I would really like is for us to sign Julian Blackmon from the Colts. And I would like to have him play against his old team there week 1. Come on, Miami. Get Julian Blackmon. Help me feel a little better. I'm not sure what to do about cornerback. I think someone's just going to have to step up and surprise Miami this year. I think we're going to have one of these guys that's just kind of been floating by. I think he's going to have to step up. Cam Smith. If he doesn't step up, kick him to the curb, man. Kick rocks. He needs to get out of here. Week 2 versus the Patriots. Man, that's going to be good for us. That it's going to be a day game and it's going to be at home for us. That's going to be an advantage game for Miami. Patriots are going to have to come down into this heat and play. So that's going to be a good thing. However, you know what happens in Week 18. We have to travel to Foxborough to play them. So it's a trade-off. Which is why I'm kind of thinking that we're going to end up splitting the series against the Patriots this year. There are a lot of similarities, especially with the defense. There are a lot of, for the most part, except for Miami Dolphins fans, there's a lot of no-namers on the defense. You're right about that, Elwood. And I do see a better running game. I see our running game being very successful this year. I'm not saying number 1 in the league, but definitely successful. At the Bills week 3, that's good because we don't have to go to Buffalo and play later on in the season. It's a Thursday night game. That worries me. We don't do well on Thursday night. So realistically, what I see with this schedule, for our divisional opponents, I see us splitting the series with the Patriots 1-1. I see us splitting with the Bills 1-1, and I see us beating the Jets twice. So that gives us, we're looking at a 4-2 record against the AFC East this year. I would be happy with that. I think the Patriots are going to be much improved. I think we'd be hard-pressed to beat them twice as it is, let alone beat them in Foxborough as the last game of the season. That's going to be tough. Now, my only worry there is we're going to have to make sure that we are not needing to win that last game of the season to make the playoffs. That's the trick. That's going to be the trick. Are we going to be able to do that? And I just don't know. I just don't know. So versus the Jets on Monday Night Football, that's the 11-day break that we get, the mini bye in between the Bills and the Jets in week 3 and 4. It is kind of cool that we get Patriots, Bills, then the Jets in the beginning of the season. That's 3 AFC East division games right there. That's cool. I'm not saying that it's ideal, but it's cool for me, and for fans it should be cool for us, because we get to immediately, pretty much right off the bat, we get to see where we kind of stand in this division. Did the Bills get better? Did the Patriots get better? I think they did, and I think we're going to see a much more improved Patriots team this year. Did the Jets get better? I don't think they did. I think the Jets got a little worse. If anything, the Jets are going to be, I think, a little bit unamazing, I guess is the way to put it. And like I said, if you're a Jets fan watching this, no insults intended. I'm not that kind of fan. Obviously, as a Dolphins fan, I want to beat the Jets and the Patriots and the Bills every time we play. But I'm not a hater. I just don't think that the Bills did enough this year in the off season to really improve their team. In fact, I think they got a little worse, and I definitely think the Jets are in that boat as well. So, yeah, not the best off season for the Jets. They're bringing another quarterback to be their starting quarterback that I don't think would start on a. Let's put it this way: he'd be a backup in most of the teams in the NFL. Whether you like him or not, he's just not that good, and he hasn't shown that much, other than the ability to run, and that doesn't get you very far. Anthony Richardson, same kind of deal. Can't throw the ball. Week 5 at the Panthers. I think that's okay to have that. I don't see the Panthers making a huge step this year. I don't think they're as terrible as everybody might think. Week 6 versus the Chargers. Man, that's one of those games that we need to just overpower and dominate that game. Week 6, if we beat the Chargers, all of a sudden, people will be looking this way. Week 7 at the Browns, like I always say, I will never write the Cleveland Browns off, ever. It seems like just as you start to think that they're gonna, I do. I think Dante Trader is gonna do well for us as well. I do. I think I also the cornerback we got too, in the 5th round. I think he's gonna be all right as well. Maybe not like all pro, but I think he'll do okay. Week 8 at the Falcons. That's a stadium game. That's one of those games I really wished was down farther in the schedule. But that is a Thursday night football game, so that's cool. Then week 10 versus the Bills. That's our home game against the Bills, and that's the one I see us winning. It'll be a day game. It won't be ice or super, super hot during that game, but it'll be warm. And if it's sunny, it'll get to the Bills. They're just not used to it. Week 11, Commanders in Spain. That's going to be a hard one to call. I'm not sure how that game's going to go. I mean, I know what I'll be rooting for. I just don't know if it's going to happen. That's going to be a tough one. And the Week 12 bye, that is perfect. That is exactly what we should want as Dolphins fans. 3/4 of the way through the season, beautiful. Give it to us. Week 12, bye. Perfect. That is exactly where I wanted the bye to be. Even before I knew the Commanders game was there, I was hoping for a week 10 to a week 13 bye. That's where I wanted it. That's where I wanted it to be last year. We had such a stupid bye last year. So here we are. A bye at the perfect point. Absolutely perfect. Week 13 versus the Saints. Week 14 at the Jets. Like I said, I think we sweep the Jets this year. I think we split with the other two teams in the AFC. Week 15 at the Steelers on Monday Night Football. That's going to be a chilly game, like I said, and it's going to be a tough game. I'm not sure what the Steelers are going to be doing at quarterback. It's not looking well for them in that department right now. I want to say it, but I don't want to say it because I feel like if I say it, I'm gonna curse the opposite thing to happen. I'm gonna make the opposite thing happen by saying it. But I think something that hasn't happened with the Steelers. See if you can guess. I think something that hasn't happened with the Steelers in like 11 years is probably going to happen this year. And I think it's going to be what the Steelers have kind of been hoping for so that they can do some roster resetting. Let's put it that way. Hasn't happened in like 10 or 11 or 12 years. I think that this is the year the Steelers have that happen, and I think that this leads them into a mini rebuild. Our pass rush is going to be awesome from end to end and no time for opponents to throw. Exactly. That's what I'm seeing happening. I see opponents struggling to throw the ball against us because they just don't have the time. And like I said, pass coverage doesn't really even have a chance to – well, they can. I'm not saying it doesn't have a chance, but it doesn't really have good opportunities to break down until the defense is covering wide receivers for 4 or 5 seconds. If you can get to the receivers in 3 or to the quarterback in 3 or 4 seconds, you are not going to have a lot of passing success against you. So, if we can get that solid defensive pass rush, our cornerbacks won't have to be the greatest things on turf. They won't have to be the best cornerbacks in the NFL. They'll have to be able to hang with their assignments for a few seconds. That's it. Any longer than that, ball's already incoming or ball's being thrown out of bounds or sack. I think Anthony Weaver is focused on pass rush, and I think that's a good game plan. I tell you what, Ashton Davis is going to – I don't know if he's going to start, and I almost hope he doesn't because I want to use him situationally. The man is a heat-seeking missile. He's a ball hawk. I like his ball skills. I think Ashton Davis would do wonders for us in situational safety football. If he's going to be a starter for sure. Who we have lined up next to him, it could be McMorris, and I'd be okay with that. I was really impressed with how he played last year in the preseason before he got hurt. He was lights out. So I think our safety room is okay. Like I said, the only position that I'm really kind of worried about right now is cornerback. But with the team that's being put together on defense, my worries at cornerback aren't as bad as they would be if we weren't doing what we're doing on defense. If we didn't just totally invest in defensive linemen this year. And we definitely have done that. Young, strong, dog type defensive lineman. The fact that we're doing that gives me a little bit of confidence to be like, cornerbacks they're not great, but I think we could make do even if we had to right now with what we have. And I think we could, especially if somebody steps up. Cam Smith. I'm not saying it's going to happen, so don't quote me on that. But if he did, okay. Not saying he's going to, so nobody jump down my throat. If Cam Smith could step up this year and do what everybody has been hoping he could pull off for the last couple years, if Cam Smith could do that, imagine what we could have on defense. I'll tell you what I do know. I know that Storm Duck isn't the best cornerback in the NFL. I know he's not the best cornerback in the AFC East. But what I can tell you about Storm Duck is every time he touches the field, he gets better. And if Storm Duck can continue to improve, that's going to be solid for Miami. That's going to help so much. Now, I'm not saying don't go out and get a corner. I think we should. I think we need to go out and get a cornerback. One, at least. But it doesn't need to be, we don't need to go spend $26 million on a cornerback. That doesn't need to happen. Yes, Storm Duck, that's a good point, Elwood. Storm Duck is better at press coverage than he is in zone coverage. And last year, we did run a lot of zone coverage. Now, with this defensive line that we seem to be putting together here and our edge rushing room, this is going to mean, like Elwood had said earlier in these comments, this is going to mean that we're going to run a lot more press coverage, definitely. There's going to be a lot more man press coverage. I'm not saying we're not going to run zone, but if we can get decent to good pressure on the quarterback consistently, the ability to run man coverage and press coverage skyrockets. We're going to have that opportunity. And when you do that, a couple things happen. Number one, the receivers are often in position to make deflections and interceptions. Then you have guys like Ashton Davis who can step up, get the ball. Storm Duck is going to keep improving. I like I said, I've been saying it since we drafted him, or since we picked him up in free agency after the draft as an undrafted free agent. As soon as I saw some game film on Storm Duck last year, I was saying, this guy's going to be decent. He's going to work out for us. Then he made the team. Then he played well in preseason. Then I can't remember who got hurt. Someone got hurt, and he ended up playing for 4 weeks. And when he played for those 4 weeks, was he amazing? Was he shut down cornerback? No, he wasn't those things. But he played well, and he continued to improve. Every time he came on the field, he got better. So Storm Duck is going to continue to do that. I'm sticking with Storm Duck. I'm going to maintain my position there. I'm excited now. I'm ready. I want to see some helmets fly, man. I want to see this defense do what I think they're going to do. I want to see. I would even be okay with bringing back a couple instances of the zero blitz, man. Send everyone. We need pressure. That's the bottom line for defense. We need pressure. It's all going to be generated. Everything, all the success on defense is going to be generated. I mean, everybody's got to play good, but all the success on defense is going to be generated from our defensive line. And over on the offensive side of the ball, all the success that we could possibly have this year, it's all going to be generated from our offensive line. It's just that simple. Offensive line, defensive line. And then you look at what this team has done in the offseason and what they're focused on seemingly. That's exactly what we need. So I'm not going to complain about something that I agree with. Yeah, I'd go along with that. He was definitely not in the ideal scheme for his abilities, that's for sure. That's Marshall Adams. Yeah. But we'll see what happens with him. I do think Storm Duck is going to have a little bit of a coming out party this year. I'm not saying Pro Bowl, but I'm saying he's going to establish himself this year. This is the next step for Storm Duck. He filled in last year. He was a rotational player. He did well in special teams and on the field during defense. And I think this year is he just takes the next step. He continues doing what he's been doing and improving. And that's where we're at. I think that this is a decent schedule. Those of you that are watching, make sure you throw a like down If you got friends that are on YouTube, make sure you tell them to come check out the channel, as I'm trying to get this thing to grow a little bit. Like I said, do probably 3 to 5 videos a week. And I have a full-time job as a truck driver on top of that, so busy life. Well, man, that's not even half of it. I mean, I run archery tournaments. I'm an archery instructor. Goodness gracious. Fly fishing. I do all kinds of stuff. I'm busy, and I still make time to make these videos. Why? Because I make all this money? No, that's not why. I don't get paid doing this. I just do it because it's fun. Because I'm a Dolphins fan, and I'm living in a place where there are no Dolphins fans. North Pole, Alaska, there's not many Dolphins fans. So I figured I would do this to connect with the Dolphins community, since there's no Dolphins community here. Yeah, that's where I have him at. I got him at CB2. And I think he'll play there. I think he's going to do well this year. I'm not worried about Storm Duck. What I am worried about is Cam Smith, and I keep thinking, man, if he would just step up, how great would things be? They'd be so good. So good. So let me go through this again. At the Colts, I mark it a win. At the Patriots, I'm marking it or versus the Patriots at our home, I mark it a win. At the Bills Thursday Night Football, I'm marking that a loss. At versus the Jets in Miami Gardens, I'm marking that a W. At the Panthers, I'm marking that a W. Versus the Chargers at Miami Gardens, I'm marking that a W. At the Browns, I'm marking it a W. At the Falcons, I'm marking it a W. Versus the Ravens on Thursday Night Football in Baltimore, I'm marking that a loss. Versus the Bills in Miami Gardens, I'm marking that a win in Week 10. Commanders in Spain on Week 11, I'm marking that a loss for now. Week 12 is the bye. Week 13 versus the Saints in Miami Gardens, marking that a W. At the Jets, I'm marking that a W. At the Steelers on Monday Night Football, I'm marking that a W. I'm marking that a loss. Yep. At the Bengals, I'm marking that a win. At the Buccaneers, I'm marking that a win. And at the Patriots, I'm marking that last game of the season as a loss for us. So looking at that, yeah, I've got us at 12-5. Just looking at this first glance, not knowing what's going to happen the rest of the preseason, not knowing how the teams are going to be, aside from what I've seen now. Assuming we stay healthy for the most part, I'm looking at 12-5, 11-6. Elwood. That's where I'm at with it. What does anybody else think here? Anybody else got any comments on that? What do they think about this schedule? Like I said, I think this is a pretty favorable schedule for Miami. I think that we're gonna see I think we're gonna see 12-5, 11-6. I think that means we're gonna make the playoffs. Who knows? Maybe we'll do some damage. I'm not sure. I don't know. What I am happy about is the schedule looks good. Yeah, luck's part of every season, I think, and that's normal to think. How you doing, Aquavale? Good to see you, buddy. It's been a while. I haven't seen you around. Yeah, 9-8 is a pretty respectable thing to think. I mean, like I said, I'm looking at it as a little higher win count. But like I said in the beginning of this video, I said anywhere from a 9-8 season to a 12-5 season, I think is the kind of realm we're looking at with this schedule, assuming some health happens this year and we stay healthy for a change. Can Tua stay healthy? Yeah, he can. He's done it before. Yeah, life and work. I understand completely, dude. It happens. Happens to all of us, unfortunately. I wish we didn't have to work. Better yet, I wish this was our job. That'd be even cooler. I like the schedule. I think this works out. I think according to the NFL, this is the 5th or 6th easiest schedule in the NFL. Obviously, don't buy into that too much. These rankings of the schedules for each team it's obscene. So don't look too much into that. Look at these individual games. Look at where they line up. Look at the gaps in between. Look at the fact that we don't have a long road trip. We don't. We have the longest we're away from the home is 2 weeks. It's a pretty forgiving schedule. We get a bye 3/4 of the way through the season, which is perfect. So perfect. We get six primetime games. Now, I know Miami doesn't play well in primetime, but this means we get to watch some Dolphins football, and that's good. That's good. I'm happy. We got a lot of winnable games on this schedule. We get the Bills in Buffalo early in the year. These are all things that are going to be good for us. The only 2 games that I look at and go, "Oh, that's a terrible place to have these 2 games," is the Steelers game and the Patriots game at the end of the year. And that's why I've kind of got the Patriots game at the end of the year penciled as a loss for us, is just because that's going to be one cold game in Foxborough. It's going to be interesting. Not sure how it all is going to work out. I can tell you what I think, like I just did. That's all I can do. This is not a horrible schedule. Man. Tell you what. If we end up with a top 15 offensive line, top 15 in the NFL, if we have that this year, at the end of the year, if we look at that ranking for offensive line, and if we have a top 15 offensive line, you're going to see 11-6, 12-5, 13-4. If we have that offensive line playing up to snuff, just middle of the league instead of last place. If we have that, you're going to see a good season. It's just that simple. I think the defense is going to take care of itself. I'm not worried about the defense. I know everybody's screaming cornerback. What's up, Cap? How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Yeah, the primetime games are cool and sad at the same time because we all know how Miami plays in the primetime games. It's cool for those of us living out of zone. Like me here in Alaska, I get the primetime games, so I'll get to see a lot of games. I watch all the games anyway. It's just easier when I can watch them on primetime. 17-0, undefeated world champions. Oh man. I don't know, Cap. I don't know if you mean like week 12 bye is the killer like bad or killer like good, because I'm kind of excited for the week 12 bye. I think that's going to help us a lot. I wanted that bye in between week 11 and week 14. So having that bye there, I'm actually pretty excited about that part. I wanted that, so I'm glad. That's right about the time when players start getting hurt, and we could really use a bye week there. The last year's bye sucked. I hated it where it was. So excited for this year with that. Let's see. The Steelers game, the Patriots game, the Commanders game, and the Bills game on Thursday night in Buffalo. And the Ravens game. That's the 5 losses that I have penciled in for sure. I'm thinking 5 losses, 6 losses. That's what I'm looking at. 11-6, 12-5. Like I said, a lot of people are really concerned about the cornerback situation. I'm a little concerned about it, but like I said before, just to refresh, I don't see it as oh, we made a mistake focusing on the defensive line. No, I think we did exactly what we needed to do. I think having the pass rush that we're about to have, I think that's going to be helping our cornerback situation more than people think or want to give credit to Anthony Weaver for. Yeah, Chargers game's exciting. Earlier in the stream, I said that the Charger game, the Dolphins just need to beat the bricks off the Chargers in that game. That needs to be an anger game, and so does both the Jets games in this season. I see that Chargers game as the game that the Dolphins need to just come out like a bunch of pissed off teenagers and just jump all over that team. That needs to be that game. And the Jets game, same thing for obvious reasons. With the way that game happened to us at the end of the season last year, regardless of playoff implications, we got embarrassed. And the Dolphins need to be pissed off. And they need to take it out on the Jets this year. I really want to see that. I'm just talking about losing to the Jets at the end of the season last year is getting me all pissed off and making me want to go fight. I haven't been in a fight in years. Like I said, I've been a good boy since I got married and met my wife and did these things and had kids, and those Jets games just make me want to go punch somebody in the mouth. Man, I'm the same way, man. That was a rough end of the season for us. How many years in a row have we said that? A lot. We said it a lot. It needs to change. Even though I do see that Week 18 game against the Patriots being a loss for us, I see a large amount of success at the end of the season. Out of the last 7 games, I see 3 losses. I see the Patriots game, I see the Steelers game, possibly, and I see the Commanders game. That's what I see. I'm encouraged by this, guys. This is actually a good schedule for Miami. Shocker, because usually Miami gets screwed by the NFL schedulers. This isn't that bad. This is one of those situations where I looked at the schedule and I'm just kind of like, oh, I don't know what to do with my face because it's doing this thing that I'm just not used to as a Dolphins fan. I'm smiling. The schedule isn't that bad. We'll get more into it, obviously, as, we get closer to the season and we see how some of these other teams shape up around preseason and mini camp and training camp and all this stuff as we get closer to the season starting. But what I do like the fact that we get to see the Patriots, Bills, and Jets back to back to back, week 2, week 3, week 4, right in the beginning of the season. And we get a chance to establish ourselves right off the bat. I tell you what, if week 3 comes around and the Dolphins manage to knock the Bills off in Foxborough on Thursday Night Football, as soon as that game's over, I know it'll be late on the East Coast for you guys, but make sure to tune into my live stream at the end of that. There's a whole new outlook on this season. This is one of those things where one game can change an awful lot for a team. If Miami can pull off a win against the Bills there or the Ravens in Week 9, if Miami can pull off a win against one of those teams, this whole season changes. It's going to be excellent. And if it's not excellent, it's going to be sad, but I'll be watching either way. I'll still watch all the All 22. I'll still come out after every game and make a video and talk about it. Those of you that are in here, make sure you throw a like down. Tell your friends to come check me out. Oh, man. Oh, man, yeah, that's something I was looking at, too. Yeah, and that's what I have down as a split with the Bills, technically. I have us losing on Thursday Night Football in Week 3 against the Bills, and I have us winning Week 10 against the Bills. So I have us splitting with the Patriots, I have us splitting with the Bills, and I have us sweeping the Jets this year. So 4-2 for our division for Miami. Now, my question is which one of those games do you guys think that we're going to wear those rivalry jerseys? Which one? It's going to be a home game, and it's going to be a division game. I'm not thinking it's going to be Week 2. I think it's going to be either Week 4 Monday Night Football against the Jets, or it's going to be Week 10 versus the Bills. But if I had to make a bet, I would say that we're going to be wearing our rivalry jerseys Week 4 on Monday Night Football against the Jets. That would make the most sense to me. So be looking out for that. As soon as Week 3 ends that week, be looking for the Dolphins to make their announcement and show everybody what those jerseys look like that week, the week of Week 4. I would be happy to see that. I'd like to see I want to see these new jerseys. I'm stoked about it. I'm going to have to buy a jersey. Yeah. Well, the Bills on Thursday Night Football, that's an away game, so they're not going to wear we're not going to wear our division rivalry jersey for an away game. It'll be a home game. It'll definitely be a home game. So I'm thinking the Jets game or the Week 12 game against the Bills, but that's just a normal slot time, which is why I kind of think Jets. But that's just me. It's a decent schedule, though, guys. We shouldn't be too upset and too worried about what we got here. Yeah, prime time. That's exactly why I'm thinking the Jets game. Monday Night Football. We're at home against the Jets. Get to wear those sweet jerseys. Gonna be pretty good. 12-5. That's what I'm sticking with. That's what I'm saying. We'll see what actually happens. Wouldn't that be cool if I was right, though? I would even happily shave my head if we end up beating the Bills on Thursday Night Football in Week 4, I think, or Week 3. Week 3. I'll do it, I swear. Guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Hopefully you guys had a good time while you were here. Those of you that are coming in late after the stream's over, make sure you throw a like down. Help me get this channel to grow, get these views up and all that. Make sure you guys stay hopeful if you can. I know it's hard, but we're Dolphins fans. We know how to do this. Let's support this team. The schedule looks pretty good to go. And we'll talk to you guys next time.